Comedian Graham Linehan was arrested at Heathrow Airport in the UK over past social media posts he made on transgender issues.
I hear you're a criminal now, father.
I hear you're a racist now, father.
It's an esoteric reference for an American. Free speech in the UK, chance to be a fine thing. Hello there, you awakening wonders. I'm even frightened to use this accent now. Free speech is so verboten in the UK. I'm even afraid to use the English word for forbidden. It's so verboten in the UK. Graham Linehan, who was for many years famous as a great comedy writer with loads of brilliant shows like the IT Crowd and Father Ted, most notably, but wrote on Big Train. He's like a brilliant and beloved comedy writer. Has notably become one might use the term fixated upon transgender issues, but I suppose we all get things that we're active about and interested in. And Graham Linehan, after being on Joe Rogan pretty recently, was arrested on his return to the UK for some X posts. What do we think about people getting arrested for X posts if they're not actually leading to real life crimes? Let's have a look at Fox News, a US news channel, reporting on this.
Comedian Graham Linehan was arrested at Heathrow Airport in the UK over past social media posts he made on transgender issues. The 57-year-old said that 5 armed officers arrested him after he flew into the UK from Arizona. In a statement, police said the man in his 50s was arrested on suspicion of inciting violence. This is in relation to posts on X.
Funny suspicion of inciting violence, because inciting violence, that you go on, do some violence. Also, remember, Graham Linehan is a comedy writer. The X post in question would be this, I suppose. If a trans-identified male is in a female-only space, he is committing a violent, abusive act. Make a scene, call the cops, and if all else fails, punch him in the balls. Now, like, as a comedy writer myself, I would say that he's using classic rule of 3 there. Make a scene, that's establishing the idea. Call the cops, an escalation of the initial idea, and the punchline, literally a punch in the balls in this case, is the subversion of the setup to ideas. So I don't know that Graham Linehan he obviously wasn't committing a crime there, and I think that what we're experiencing in the UK is the criminalisation of an increasing number of actions, activities, ideas, notions, allegations. In a way, a hallmark of totalitarianism might be the legitimisation of criminalising almost everyone and anyone. You might disagree with Graham Linehan's position. Sort of like, sometimes I imagine, like, say I was with a trans person who feels like they're only comfortable in female-only spaces, and I guess the women in that situation would make the choice for themselves. I don't know that I'd want the government intervening in either direction, as a matter of fact, thinking about it. But nevertheless, what I'm pretty sure about while I contemplate it and acknowledge my own inability to wrestle with the complexities of a culture that changes its rules pretty continuously and consistently, is that I don't feel that people should get arrested for X posts. And I also don't feel even this. I don't even feel that the reason that they claim they're arresting Graham Linehan is legitimate. I don't think anyone's been protected. I don't think anyone's being brutally offended. I think any offence that is incurred from Graham Linehan's posts ought be absorbed in the same way that I or you absorb offence. I mean, like, you know, this is my own show. When I watch the streams in there, I go between watching things that are offensive to me or offensive to my Jewish friend that works here, or, you know, that's life, isn't it, basically? So when you start leveraging the law in order to maintain some imaginary communicative utopia, I suspect something else is going on. In fact, I've already told you it is the criminalisation of everyone. Let's continue with the news on Fox.
After being taken to police custody, officers became concerned for his health, and he was taken to hospital. Linehan responded to the arrest, saying, "I was arrested at an airport like a terrorist, locked in a cell like a criminal, taken to the hospital because the stress nearly killed me, and banned from speaking online, all because I made jokes that upset some psychotic cross-dressers. To me, this proves one thing beyond doubt: the UK has become a country that is hostile to freedom of speech." Critics calling out the arrest. Piers Morgan posting, "What's happened to Linehan today is absolutely ridiculous. 5 armed cops arresting him at Heathrow for tweets mocking the scandal of biological men invading women's spaces. When it comes to free speech, Britain's turning into North Korea."
Right, it's pretty interesting, I suppose. And gosh, on a personal note, one hopes that Graham Linehan is okay and maybe should take some respite if you can't handle a little. Me, I have to deal with quite a lot of stressful scenarios and situations, and it's difficult. It's difficult. You have to really believe in what you're doing, and I suppose be guided by something other than personal ideals. Maybe that's the point in all this. Let's have a look at how it's been covered in The Atlantic. Assuming that Linehan's account of events is correct, his arrest is totalitarian, absurd, and a waste of police time. It's also symptomatic of a wider chill on free speech in Europe, where the selective deployment of laws over hate speech, offence and incitement has turned the police into the enforcers of progressive values and given them enormous discretionary power. Indeed, vague laws can be utilised wherever possible. This is something obviously I have personal experience of, where it seems that there is the ability to concoct and manipulate through language and through time and through presentation a variety of ideas to concoct, create, construct crimes and criminal circumstances using whatever material is required. And I feel that ultimately the aim is control. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. Many Europeans were familiar with Elon Musk's takeover of X and so had seen firsthand what his version of free speech absolutists looked like in practice. Nonetheless, Vance was correct to say that parts of Europe have enacted extremely liberal hate speech and harassment laws. The politicians who passed these laws did not seem to understand that highly disreputable people might try to use these measures to impose civil or criminal penalties on their critics. Of course, the article touches on Lucy Connolly, who was recently also arrested for a post that she made and then deleted. Again, was somewhat insensitive and perhaps not literally, but figuratively incendiary. And the idea of incitement to violence is interesting because I suppose one would have to look at the circumstances, the likelihood of violence, the intention of the individual. And once you start judging people and convicting people on their intentions, you're moving into some interesting ontological space. And I would say at the moment, with fracturing and fragmenting society, you can't further centralise authority and control. You probably have to decentralise it. This is an interesting time to be alive because there is no consensus in the UK in particular, but also in your country. There's strong polarisation when it comes to how America ought to be run. And for me, when something is polarised, you, of course, in order for energy to be created, you require a degree of polarity. But there's a point when ultimately what has to happen, I suppose, is cellular division. Ultimately, these forces can't be held together. And why should they be? Who's benefiting from centralised authority? If some people want to live in a utopia where language is strongly censored and controlled, then they ought to be able to do that. But you can't mandate that at the level of a nation, far less a planet. And the attempt to do that is clearly not about protecting people, it's about controlling people. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and the chat. Remember, we make our content these days on Rumble. Join us there and get Rumble Premium if you can. Meanwhile, please stay free. The world has become increasingly divided, politically, socially, and economically, but many of these divisions stem from a deeper misunderstanding of how money, markets, and policy actually work. Wouldn't it be nice if there was an investment app that was designed by people who understand a macro perspective and how global events affect your finances? And now you can have that power in the palm of your dick. Hand. That's hand, isn't it? Is that how I get confused? With the Alio Capital app, powered by Altitude AI, which identifies shifts in inflation, interest rates, and global risk, then adapts portfolios in real time. Alio is designed for hands-on or hands-off investors. Macro investing for people who want to understand the big picture. Investing is confusing. Get the Alio app to make it all simple. Go to the App Store or Google Play, or text my name Russell to 511-511. Investing involves risks, including the potential of loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee your results. See terms and conditions. Tax fees may apply. This is a paid advertisement for Alio Capital, baby, in case you thought it was me reading Shakespeare. That was an ad. Thanks for watching the video. Have a look at this one over here, or join us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on Rumble.